That is correct.
Yeah! Whew, finally.
Welcome to the second showdown for Knowledge Knockout, the internet game show where aviation geeks go full throttle with their knowledge of aviation history, famous flights, pioneering pilots, and more. I'm your host, John Knauer. In this tournament, our contestants are competing for the chance to go head-to-head with the ultimate aviation expert, Dr. Bob van der Linden, a curator at Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. In our first episode, engineer Jack narrowly beat pilot Damien to advance to the next round. The rules are the same. Players have 5 seconds to answer a question. If they get the answer right, they receive 1 point. If they get the answer wrong, their opponent has the chance to steal and gain 2 points. Whoever has the most points at the end of today's game will move on to the final episode, where they will go up against Jack for one last showdown to fight for the chance to test their wits against the curator. Let's meet our contestants. Today's game features aviation aficionado Mindy from Orlando, Florida. When she's not selling airplanes, she's chasing tailwinds as a pilot and shares her adventures and flying tips with her social media audience. Welcome, Mindy.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Scott is a travel and aviation journalist from New York City. He's the executive editor of The Points Guide, where he helps others fly in rarefied air by covering travel, news, points, miles, and more. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Let's get started. The person whose birth month comes first will get the first question. Scott, you were born in April, and Mindy, you were born in June. So Scott, you're up first.
Priority boarding. Love it.
That's right, Scott. You've been bumped up to first class. It's time for rapid fire, with a focus on trailblazing women in aviation. Scott, this woman is known as the first female flight attendant. She flew for Boeing Air Transport and led a team of 8 female attendants. Who is she?
She was a nurse, and I'm going to say Betty Nash.
That is incorrect. Mindy, you have a chance to steal for 2 points.
That would be Ellen Church.
That is correct. Mindy, this pilot was the first black woman to serve as a captain for a major U.S. airline. What is her name?
That's Patrice Washington. We actually share the same college. We both went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
That is correct. Scott, it's looking turbulent for you.
Can I say that she flew for UPS? Do I get a point for that?
You get a pillow and a blanket. That's what you get. Okay, Scott, next question for you. What kind of airplane did Amelia Earhart fly across the Atlantic Ocean?
It was red. It was a Lockheed.
Can you be more specific than Lockheed?
I cannot.
Mindy, you have a chance to steal and gain 2 points. Could you be more specific than Lockheed?
Scott, you're so close. It's the Lockheed Vega 5B. It's the little red bus. You were right with the red.
Mindy, that is correct. The Lockheed Vega 5B. Mindy, who was the first black woman to earn her pilot's license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale in France?
That's Bessie Coleman. I used to live in a small town in Georgia, and there was a huge mural of her in our little downtown area. So I saw her almost every day.
Wow, that is correct. Bessie Coleman. Mindy, we are blown away. Scott, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling like I ran through the airport to try to catch my plane and it left without me.
Next up, we've got a video question from the National Air and Space Museum. Scott, this one's for you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm a student explainer here at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. My job is to help visitors better understand the museum and the artifacts and exhibitions through hands-on programming. I'm super passionate about all things aviation history. Jerry Mock was the first woman to successfully fly solo around the world in this airplane. What make and model is it?
I know it's called the Spirit of Columbus. That is a Cessna.
Scott, can you be more specific?
Cessna 15X.
That's incorrect. Mindy, for a chance to steal.
It's a Cessna 180.
That's right.
I have flight time in this airplane. Sorry, Scott. And I also own a Cessna, so I know the line of Cessnas very well.
Oh, poor Scott. You're losing altitude, Scott. But don't worry, there's still more questions to go. Mindy, Caitlin has a question for you.
This sleek aircraft became synonymous with luxury business and private flights and was known for its incredible performance. In 1965, one flew from Los Angeles to New York and back in just 11 hours and 36 minutes. What is the name of this airplane?
That's the Lear 23, which is very well known in the biz jet world, which I do work in, so I'm pretty confident with this one.
That is correct. That is a wrap on the rapid fire questions. Mindy is in the lead with 9 points, and Scott has 0 points.
It's like I got the middle seat on the 14-hour flight to Asia.
Your questions are coming. I know that.
Scott, don't put your landing gear down just yet. You still have a chance to redeem yourself in the next round. There are plenty of questions for you to soar into the lead. Even better, Scott, we're moving on to multiple choice. Okay, Scott, approximately how many flights does the FAA control every day? 25,000, 35,000, 45,000, or 55,000?
C, 45,000.
Scott, that is correct.
Yeah! Whew, finally.
Okay, Mindy, the cabin pressure is building. Which two types of helicopters are typically used as Marine One for presidential missions? Is it...
That would be... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to answer with B, Sea King and Black Hawk.
Mindy, that would be correct. The Marine One always flies in a group. One helicopter carries the president while others act as decoys. Okay, Scott, between which two cities is the world's current longest flight? London and Auckland, New York and Dubai, Chicago and Sydney, New York and Singapore.
Luckily, I live in New York City, and I know that the flight to Singapore, D, is the longest flight. And if there's a bonus point right across the river in New Jersey, from Newark to Singapore is the second longest flight in the world.
Well, Scott, that answer was correct.
Yes.
Well done. This flight from JFK in New York to Changi in Singapore currently clocks in at 9,537 miles and a brief 18 hours and 30 minutes. Pro tip, book the extra legroom for that flight.
But the champagne is fantastic on Singapore Airlines.
Pro tip.
Okay, Mindy, the next question is for you. What airline was founded in 1927 and became the United States' sole international airline before World War II? Was it Pan American Airways, United Airlines, American Airlines, or Continental Airlines?
That's A, Pan Am Airways.
Mindy, that is correct. Pan Am President Juan Trippe plotted his airline's voyages on a globe that's on display in the America by Air Gallery at the National Air and Space Museum. Mindy, have you ever used a globe to plot any of your flights?
I haven't. I have a globe here in my office, but I have not planned my flight on a globe. No, I use the flat version.
That's probably why you're still with us. At this point in the game, Mindy has 11 points and Scott has 2. But Scott, no need to make an emergency landing. We have one more round left. Okay, guys, this is it. Which one of you will take flight to the final showdown? In this section, you will be presented with visual clues and have to guess the answer. Scott, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Mindy, feeling confident?
I think so. I'm much better at questions versus visual photograph stuff, but we'll see how this goes.
I mean, you haven't gotten one wrong yet.
Alrighty, Scott, you're up first. What is the name of this rotund plane used by NASA for carrying large and uniquely shaped materials? Dragon 600, Uber Carrier, Super Guppy, Extra Large.
Well, I love all of these names, but it's C for the Super Guppy.
Scott, that is correct. This bad boy has a hinged nose that can open to accept cargo, and its interior is 25 feet in diameter and 111 feet long.
That's gotta be the funniest looking airplane that exists.
Okay, Mindy, you're up next. The Douglas World Cruiser was one of the first two planes to complete a flight around the world in 1924. How many days did it take to complete this record flight? 59, 86, 175, 201.
The answer is C, 175. And I always remember that because of the around the world in 180 days, and it's really close to that.
Mindy, that is correct. However, no surprise from us or Scott. Okay, Scott, what famous military jet is displayed in this video?
That is the F-16.
Scott, that is correct. Mindy, what record flight did this airplane complete in 1923?
That completed the first non-stop transcontinental flight.
Mindy, that is correct.
You are on fire.
The Fokker T-2 flew from Long Island, New York to San Diego, California in just under 2 hours.
Another long flight I don't want to be on.
Well, it's clear you two weren't flying by the seat of your pants. You know a lot about aviation. Great job to both of you. Now, let's tally the points and see where you each stand. Scott, you have 4 points. And Mindy, you have 13 points, which means, Mindy, you are the winner.
Yeah!
And I'm fairly certain that you didn't get a single one wrong.
Thank you.
You are a true aviation expert. You will join us in the final episode to have the chance to go face to face with the curator from Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum.
Hi there, it's Bob Vander Linden. I'm the curator of the America by Air Gallery at the National Air and Space Museum. Congratulations on winning this round. Maybe I'll see you in the finals.
Do you think you can take him?
We'll see. I'm excited to give it a try.
Be sure to study up because Bob is a formidable opponent. Scott, you were a fierce competitor today.
Thank you. And Mindy, my hat is off to you.
Thanks, Scott. It was great playing with you.
Scott, do you have any parting advice for Mindy?
Study up on all the bizarre routes out there. I've met Bob. He actually once gave me a tour of the collection at the museum, and he knows everything and loves his history.
And now I'm scared.
That's a wrap on episode 2 of Knowledge Knockout. Join us for the final episode where Jack and Mindy will face off in a lightning round, and the winner will compete against curator Bob Vander Linden. If you played along, let us know how you did in the comments. Thanks for watching Knowledge Knockout. See you next time.